Hey, what's up, everybody? Time for another nerdy video. Why retcons suck. And it kind of like hurts fandoms, I think. A nerdy video, but sometimes I do these kind of videos. If you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you can. I appreciate it. Thanks. Before I start, I do know that some people have asked me, what do I think of Spark and Zero? I didn't get it. I don't even have a PS5, so even if I got it, I would have to borrow a PS5. I mean, if someone wants to donate money for me to get the game, I guess I could try to borrow a PS5 or something. But again, I don't even have a PS5. But anyway, so I was looking at this Dragon Ball DAIMA thing, and I guess they kind of retconned the VEGITO thing again, and they went back to what it originally was, or what you would assume, right? That when he went into Majin Buu's body, that that's why they absorbed once he got rid of the barrier, that exposed him to the Majin Buu stomach acids, I guess, right? Which is, kind of like just a way to, well, that's why he diffused, right? And they later basically retconned it to, oh no, you defused because it only lasts an hour. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what it was supposed to be, because just when you took off the barrier when you were in his body, you diffused, right? It was stupid, right? And the thing is, they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that, because you already gave yourself the excuse that the Dragon Balls could unfuse you, right? So I've always said that I actually, although I don't really care about Dragon Ball Super, I actually think the Goku Black arc is potentially pretty cool, right? It gave you an excuse to have Vegito again, right? And you could have had in the story that, oh, but why would you use Vegito again? Well, you gave the excuse that you can use the Dragon Balls to defuse, right? And you're like, well, why would you not turn into Gogeta? Well, you have the excuse that basically Zamasu is immortal. But there's one reason you can kill him: because he fused with Goku's body, half of him is unimmortal or killable, whatever you want to call it. But have the excuse, because he still has a sort of immortal body, you're going to have to kill him multiple times, and you won't have enough time to kill him as Gogeta. So it's going to be a drawn out battle. But as long as you can keep up this power or whatever to constantly kill this body, you'll be able to kill him. So here's the potaras: fuse, kill him over and over again, do a final kamehameha to the laser beam, and just keep on shooting it for minutes after minutes until he finally disintegrates and you kill him. And then you have a episode after a filler of, everyone trying to find the Dragon Balls. And, there's a couple silly episodes of like, oh, do I go home to Bulma or do I go home to Chi-Chi? Like a filler silly episode, and then they unfuse and they're like, we're never doing that again. There you go. That's an excuse to have, Vegito again. And you never need to have him again. But they gave this stupid reason, oh, it's because it only lasts an hour. And then, of course, it doesn't even make sense, because then if you think about the power scaling in Dragon Ball, well, why the fuck, once you get to something like the Tournament of Power that they had that was just so many episodes later, when you are already that much more powerful and you have something like Kefla is now fighting fucking Ultra Instinct Goku by your own sort of power standards, your power scaling with the potaras, if Kefla is fighting Ultra Instinct Goku, shouldn't Kefla basically just ultimately just automatically diffuse just when she puts on the earrings, if this is like the new power scaling, because she's now fighting Ultra Instinct Goku? It just makes no sense, right? And that's why I say I fucking hate, all this, constant retconning of stuff, especially in a case like Dragon Ball Super, when you don't even need to do it for a character like Vegito. You already have a silly reason that you could do it. You have a silly episode that you could have done where they're trying to figure out, oh, what do we do while we find the Dragon Balls? And he's just like, well, I'll try to live with both you and Bulma and Chi-Chi at the same time. And they're like, no, right? It just doesn't make any sense. And it didn't need to be done, right? Why don't you fuse into Gogeta? Well, just have the reason he's half immortal, and just, you're going to defuse before you kill him enough. You know what I mean? Just a half hour isn't going to be enough time, or some shit like that. Whatever reason you want to give. That's why you see Vegito again. Then guess what? You never need to see Vegito ever again. I'm fine with that. Even though he's my quotation marks favorite character. I think he's cool. I like the fact that he's like a kick character. I like the kicks. You know what I mean? I like the electric kamehameha. I think it looks cool. I like the laser sword shit, right? It's fun to me. But these retcons, when I've made multiple videos talking about fandom and nerddom, when you constantly retcon something over and over, it makes it so when you meet another person that likes the same series or the same character, you, in a way, don't even like the same character anymore. Just like I've talked about Street Fighter. If you talk to somebody new and they say their favorite character is Ryu, well, guess what? Ryu isn't even the same character that he used to be when I was growing up. Ryu is a fucking, oh, I turn evil every 5 seconds and throw a fireball. Ryu doesn't have legitimate wins anymore. He's not like a fucking heroic character. He's a generic, what I would call anime character that, oh, I have an evil side that I have to fight against, which everybody does. Seemingly now, oh, I have an evil side that I gotta fight against. I don't actually beat anybody. Oh, but I throw a fireball and get angry, but everybody loves me. Oh, you know, I didn't actually beat Sagat legitimately. I just cheap shot at him with an uppercut. Why the fuck does anybody like Ryu? He's not the same character. He's not like this ideal of a heroic character anymore, right? So if somebody says they like Ryu, well, guess what? We don't like the same Ryu, right? That's the kind of problems that happen when you constantly retcon stuff, right? Ryu's not a hero character, right? And of course, there's also, again, you know, and people say I just say it because of the LGBTQ shit. There's a lot of evil, overly radical LGBTQ people who have used something that's supposed to be good for evil, right? The LGBTQ is supposed to be good, but guess what? It's not anymore. It's used for evil. Like the Strive shit, it's a retcon. I don't know why people try to say it's not a retcon. It's a retcon. I'm going to guess that I probably speak more Japanese. Not that my Japanese is good, but I probably speak more Japanese than most people watching this video. Do you have any idea? Have you read the interviews about when they originally made Bridget? Bridget was made as a joke character. Do you have any idea when they put Buri? Do you know what Buri is a play on? It's a play on pretending to be something that you're not. A buriko. Pretending to be something that you're not. Even when they use the shorthand of Bridget, it's a play on words of pretending to be something that you're not. Do you know when they actually don't write the kanji for Bridget or Buri, they actually write in kanji? Do you know they even use the kanji for catfish? Catfishing. Do you realize that? Do you think Daisuke isn't that clever? I mean, he used to be a pretty clever person, right? I mean, made a video game, made music, pretty clever person. Do you have any idea what Aba and Morohara means? Do you speak Japanese at all? Do you know what Morohara means? You don't think that Daisuke is smart enough that it was a play on words, just like Bridget, and when he says Buri, you don't think that's a play on words? Do you think Bridget was really supposed to be a trans icon? Of course not. If you do, you're a fucking idiot, right? They retcon Bridget, right? Just is what it is, right? It's not some, oh, you hate transgender people for saying that. It's just, it's a retcon, okay? Am I racist against Ryu? It's a retcon. I just don't like them. It's dumb, right? So anyway, I mean, that's what I'm talking about, this stuff. You start getting into these fandoms, and ultimately you could say, well, is any of it real? And no, none of it is real. But there is a part of you that I would think that you want to think that, oh, well, even in this, you know, fictional world, there has to be some sort of rules, right? In this fictional world for why things are the way they are. That makes it a little bit more easy to suspend disbelief in this fandom that you like. You can suspend disbelief easier because even in this world that you can suspend disbelief, there's some sort of rules. That's why I've said I've always liked the original 2/3 of Star Ocean 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, because the game has so many rules for why the world works that you can sort of suspend disbelief that this is why the characters act the way they do. Even though it's a, you know, fictional story and it's silly, it gives you enough rules that you can try to place yourself in the story that this is why these characters are acting this way. But once you start throwing out rules, nothing means anything anymore. It just kind of feels cheap. And it cheapens the whole experience. That's why Dragon Ball, for me, the whole thing feels cheap. Although, I mean, actually, this is not as cheaply made seemingly as Dragon Ball Super. I mean, watching the Dragon Ball Daima, you know, it's much more aesthetically pleasing. But, you know, generally, when you have no rules, when you can just retcon everything over and over and over again, it cheapens the experience and it makes it not as fun. And especially when you think about the Potara thing for Vegito versus Gogeta, you didn't even have to do it. Like I said, And I actually kind of like the Dragon Ball, Goku Black stuff, because I think it was kind of a cheap, it's, even though it's a cheap pop, like all Dragon Ball seemingly is, just to get people more money, right? It actually, you could sort of suspend disbelief and you're like, okay, this might be why they're doing this. But then when they retconned it, it's just like, this is so dumb. So dumb. And you don't even need to do it because you gave yourself an excuse. And now they're going back on it, which, again, I'm not totally against. But it certainly kind of feels like, can there be a little bit consistency, Because it basically, it just honestly at the end of the day, because everything just feels so cheap, it just feels like, who's the strongest character in Dragon Ball? And it's like, what's the newest episode? No, I mean, seriously, what's the newest episode? That's all you need to know. When people argue, is this character the strongest? Is this character the strongest? There's no reason to even really be invested in it, because guess what? None of it matters, because all that matters is what's the next episode? Whatever the most recent episode is, that's going to be the strongest character, because they're going to retcon something. You know what I mean? But anyway, remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, support the channel if you can. I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.